Theodore Roosevelt once said, "The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who knows the great enthusiasms, the great devotions, and spends himself in a worthy cause, who at best, if he wins, knows the thrills of high achievement, and if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who know neither victory nor defeat."
Feel good?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, perfect. Perfect. Cool. We're starting. Oh man. So the reason why I wanted you to, I asked you to do this was because ever since I came around, dude, like you're the type of person in my mind that when you talk, people listen. And I think a lot of that, and tell me if I'm wrong at all, but I think a lot of that is because you've been through some shit, you got through it. So if anyone can explain a situation on how they got through it, you're like the fucking perfect example for that. You know what I mean? You've always been nice to me. Everyone that I respect respects you. You know what I mean? I was talking to Dugan the other day about you coming on. He's like, the first thing he said was how great of a guy you were. Same thing with Shives. So like, I thank you for doing this. I'm trying not to be nervous.
No, shit. I'm as nervous as you. It's easy when we're in an AA room.
Yeah,
You know
for
what I mean?
sure.
And we're amongst us.
Yeah.
Like, some people that ain't really in the program want to see that shit. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a little,
Right. It's cool because like people at my gym, some people that I work with, like they see the podcast and like, obviously I put myself out there so like they fucking know, but
they see a different side.
Yeah, they see a different side.
Yeah.
Like it's not just like the Superintendent Anthony. Like,
Well, yeah, you're like a big dog with the carpenters too, right?
well, it's like I got a job that I always dreamed of getting, and I told my boss, the owner of the company, when I got out of rehab, when I wanted to start this, that I was starting a podcast. That was all we talked about. Like I don't think he ever watched it. I hope he never watches it because like obviously, when you're getting sober or you can't get sober, work don't matter.
Yeah.
You know what I
So
mean?
you want to say some shit that might be like,
Yeah. But like, at 8 months and 3 weeks sober, like they probably would give me a break because they know that I changed my tune up a little bit, But I wanted to say something because you said something at the meeting, dude. I thought was perfect. I actually wrote it down. After the jet ski incident, right? You said people go through some shit and project that onto those around them. And I fucking do that every time I'm in a shitty mood. My wife's now in a shitty mood because I make her in one.
You said it perfect. So my wife is my biggest critic. In AA, I see you twice a week at a meeting. I'm like, yo, man, you're doing great.
Yeah.
But, if you know what they say, the one-liners from the old heads, yeah, go. You really want to know how he's doing, ask his wife.
Ask his wife.
What I mean? And my wife's the first to tell you, like, I am a blame shifter.
Right.
You know what I mean? And she says I get it from my dad, whatever. And I'm like, yeah, he's a blame shifter. And she's like, I wonder where you get that shit from. Yeah.
Dude, so we adopted this fucking dog. He's actually in a cage upstairs and he tried to attack me like 8 fucking times. Right? We need to get rid of this fucking monster. It's a 65-pound DMX pit bull.
Oh
He needs to go. But if he goes, they're going to put him down or we're going to bring him back to the shelter. So the reason I'm bringing that up is because I was dealing with some shit last weekend that really was just me being a crazy alcoholic in my head. And I said, well, if you didn't get this fucking dog, she's like, the dog's got nothing to do with it, you motherfucker.
Never a dog guy.
Yeah.
I got 2 little girls and an older son. And they brought home a puppy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, dude, like, I told you, it's no puppy. You know what I mean? Like,
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, when I got the house, it was brand new construction. You know what I mean?
So it's just like pristine. You got this little
dog's
motherfucker.
like eating crown mold. I barely want the kids in there. You know what I mean? And but now that's my baby.
Of course.
You know what I mean? She's been with me like 5 years, and now they're trying to get another puppy. I'm like, dude, you're going to make her jealous.
Yeah. My dog Frankie, we got her when she was a puppy. She fucking hates the dog. They don't fight, but she don't like the fucking dog.
Yeah.
Like they don't get along at all. And like I shared about this at a meeting and I'll preface it like, I know this seems stupid, but this is a fucking point of contention in my marriage right now, dude. And I don't know how to get out of it. You know what I mean? And then like old head Joe from Ox is like, get rid of the fucking dog.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, all right, dude. My wife will basically leaving me too then. But dude, the reason we kind of talked about it a little bit, the reason why I started the podcast was because the day before rehab was a fucking horrible day. And like that's a whole experience that I put myself into, but the constant relapses and all that stuff. And I thought about it as like, my wife and I actually talked about it as like a traumatic experience. Like getting sober is a traumatic experience. You're going from a whole way of life to a totally different way of life. And you do that, and you've done that for years now. So like, that's why I think you're a perfect guest, because I heard your story. I know you've been through a lot with your family, your brother, and your own history. So I just wanted to kind of hear, like, from your perspective, like what it was like before your day before rehab moment.
So before that, like, I would have never noticed this before, but now on the other side of it, it's exactly what they say in the paperwork. These rock bottom levels that we hit turn out to be firm bedrock upon which happy and purposeful lives are built. Like, you're in your absolute worst moment of life.
The worst.
You see like no way out, like you don't know what's going to happen the next day. And then like you start getting sober. And like 8.5 years later, I look back on it now, like that was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Yeah.
Like I had to do every bag I had to do. I had to drink every drink I had to drink, smoke everything I had to smoke, to end up in the most painful situation I had to end up in to get where I was going. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like they talk about a first step experience, like it had to be real deal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you said, like, you know, with the job, the girl, like everything, you know what I mean?
Yeah. My therapist said, let me backtrack. Part of me being able to move back into my house at the rehab was what I had to get a therapist. And the guy's actually in recovery. So it worked out great. But he asked me one time, like, what do you think your life would be like if you got sober the first time? I'm like, dude, I can't even think like that. It took what it took. This was the way it had to be.
100%.
You know what I mean? And like, it just, I can't look at it any differently, because then you just fucking drive yourself crazy.
Yeah. Well, so, you know, Northeast Philly dude.
Yeah.
You know, twin brother, 2 sisters that lived in Florida. They had like a different dad and all, but you know, we were all family. You know what I mean? And, you know, my dad was a roofer. You know what I mean? Like my mom stayed home, and like back then, like the roofing game was like the Mavericks. You know what I mean? Like, yo, it was like, you know, dudes that kind of live by their own rules. They all had gold chains and money, and you know what I mean? And like bushels of crab and 30 packs of bud. And like they were smoking joints, and like, you know, everybody's running around a little apartment we got. We're up far northeast, like a 3-foot pool. And
this is heaven.
Dude, as far as I was concerned, that was it.
I
you know
get
what
it.
I mean? Like I didn't know that was bad or abnormal. You know what I mean? When I smelled that shit in the air, I knew we'd get away with a little bit more. You know what I mean? And you know, so whatever, like you know, but one of the things I always talk about when I share is like that God conscience, like that thing that happens inside you when you're ready to do something wrong. You know what I mean? And I distinctly remember my mom telling me when I was a kid, do not cross that street when you get there. And I remember why, like I would get there and I turn around like, oh no, mom said not to do that, you know. And then I remember watching my brother and my friend go across the street, and suddenly, like I went across the street. By the time I'm like 9, 10, we're sneaking beer, stealing cigarettes from the old man, shit like that. Then we started smoking pot. Then we're drinking quarts. Back then, you didn't even get 40s. You got quarts.
32-ounce boys.
And you had to send dude in a couple times because you could only carry like 3 hours at a time. Shit, you know?
We grew up at Mayfair AC. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like, go to Loring Street. You're gonna find somebody to get your 40 all day, every day.
For sure.
It was exciting.
So you know that was the deal. You know what I mean? And we all did it the same way. I don't care if you're from Northeast Philly or the Philippines. You know what I mean? Like. There they may have beaches and trees. Here we got like tracks and like playgrounds. You know what I mean? And like that's just how we did it. You know what I mean? And but dude, there was nothing abnormal about it.
No.
You know what I mean? It was like totally a rite of passage, you know. And then, you know, we start selling a little pot in the neighborhood. We get like a pound of weed. I think I'm Scarface. You know what I mean? And you know, then we start taking little pills and shit. And I didn't go to like regular high school. I went to Del Val student ed, so I did 2 years instead of all 4. The old man took me on the roof when I was young, maybe. So I graduated high school when I was 16, actually. I mean, whatever. My dad paid for the diploma, basically. You know what I mean? And,
so he was a successful roofer at the time?
So my dad hit the lottery when I was a kid.
Really?
1987, he hit for $600,000 or something like that.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, now, you know, he was a roofer, you know what I mean? He worked days pay, just hustling, you know what I mean, making away. And whatever. So, you know, getting involved, like borrow money from like back in the day, go around a bar, you borrow 100, you pay back 2 sort of thing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So we ended up moving to a lot of different neighborhoods because the guys would try to extort him and shit, I believe, you know, like they try to charge him more than what he really owed, shit like this.
Because he had some bread.
Yeah. And, you know, come settle up there. It's like, fuck that, you know?
Yeah.
So I lived everywhere in the Northeast. We lived far Northeast. We lived 5 Points, Long Crest. You know, my grandparents had a house in Roseville, Cambria. We'd be there every weekend. You know what I mean? Like it was a lot. But I had my twin brother.
Yeah, which is your homie.
Like, dude, like imagine going through life every day of your life with a fella next to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, you know, you're talking everything. First day of school, so he's got the blue jumper on, I got the green one. You know what I mean? Like, you know, my mom's dressing us up in these sailor outfits and shit. You know what I mean? Like, whatever. You know? And, you know, first fights, first girls, first everything. You know what I mean? And, you know, whatever. So we ended up like really like Somerdale is where we kind of dug in and spent our time. We were about 13 in Oxford Circle area. Mm-hmm. And, you know, by then we're like, you know, getting into it. You know what I mean? We're smoking pot, we're taking pills and shit. And like that progressively got, and then we went to student ed is when all the other shit came in.
But even there where you're at, it's normal. It's still kind of normal.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, this is like, there is nothing abnormal, you know? And this is back when like, you find out dude's little sister's getting christening. It's like, yo, christening, we're going to be drinking, dude. Yeah. Somebody go see dude, grabbing some shit. You know what I mean? Like, you know what time it is.
Yeah.
You know? And yeah, nothing abnormal at all. Mm-hmm. You know, and at this point, even my friends' parents, you know, they were doing shit too. You know what I mean? Like, this is.
Yeah, my dad and my best friend's dad, he was a roofer. My dad was a laborer. My best friend's dad was a roofer. They'd get the 30-pack and watch us play football practice. 2 hours later, the 30-pack's gone.
Yeah.
And that was 4 nights a week, dude.
Yeah, I mean, you know, this is how it goes. You know what I mean? But it was all pretty normal. You know what I mean? But then, like, see, the difference between me and my old man, my dad went to work every single day. I mean, my whole life, his whole life was work. You know what I mean? And, like, I think he got sober once or twice for like 6 months or something, but he never ended up in jail. I mean, did a weekend or something here or there. Mm-hmm. Like he never ended up homeless. Like he was never shoving needles in his arms and shit. You know what I mean? Like he held it together.
Yeah,
you know?
functioning.
Like they came from an era where it was like work hard, play hard. You know
yeah, you had to cut my dad's leg off to miss work, dude.
Exactly.
And he was a full blown heroin addict at the end.
Yeah, and, you know,
so I get it.
That's you know what I mean. That's the deal. And anyways, I started on the roof when I was like 15, 16, and now I'm making money so I can pay for this like drug and alcohol problem I got. You know what I mean? By the time I'm 17, you know, I end up getting in some trouble right around my 18th birthday, and some kid robbed us for a pound of weed. Me and my twin brother seen him on the bus, and we beat him up. And then I got on probation, and I ended up with my best friend. I ended up getting in some trouble, and you know, whatever. I went to jail 18 years old. You know what I mean? CF over here. Little fat white kid from the Northeast. I wasn't little, but a fat white kid from the Northeast. Now, if you'd asked me, I'd have told you I was the toughest guy in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
But I definitely wasn't. And whatever, man. Like, I didn't come home for almost 3 years.
Really? 18 to 21, basically.
Yeah. So, you know, and the whole ride, you know, CF, greatest for Camp Hill, Monomoy, you know, I did the tour, you know what I mean? And
is this the first time in your life that you're away from your brother that long, too?
Oh, yeah. You know, any of it. Now, he had actually went to jail for like 6 months prior to that. He did like a juvenile thing and all that too. And, you know, I'd never been to jail before, you know what I mean? The girl ended up leaving me, the girl I was with, you know what I mean? It was like, it was the thing, you know? And when I went away, it was the first time in my life, though, that I hadn't drank or used since I was like, whatever, I guess, you know.
10.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I get it.
That was the first time ever, you know what I mean? And so I go away, dude, and like, you know, my best friend told on me, my girl left me. I call my dad. I'm like, yo, dad, like this dude's parents got him a lawyer. Like he's home with a house bracelet on. You know what I mean? He's like, oh, his parents are assholes, and you got yourself into something you're gonna have to get yourself out of.
Damn.
Okay. You know what I mean? Like, you know, and then when you go to jail like that, and especially being a young kid, you know, like it desensitizes you. You know what I mean? Like the way that these guys talk about criminal behavior and drugs and alcohol is like not a big deal at all. All these dudes are very seasoned at this point. You know what I mean? And I'm green as shit.
Yeah, you're a new kid on the block.
Yeah, I'm green as shit. Yeah. I'm like, oh, really? This is how you do that? Oh, okay. You know, so whatever, man. While I was away, though, my twin brother got shot.
Really?
Yeah. So this was 03 to 06. This is when the oxys really hit the Northeast heavy.
Yep, I remember.
So like 03 to 06. And I know you're like, all them AY dudes, all like, what I mean? We used to mess with them a little bit. My parents.
You West guy, right?
No. Somerdale.
Somerdale,
like
okay.
Oxford Circle. Okay. But my parents lived at Robbins and Leonard. So we used to
be around.
AY dudes.
Yeah.
But
dude, they were the rough. So I went to Judge, right? All those dudes are like Lincoln or Swenson. They were rough as shit, dude, growing up.
Well, so
they were great dudes. I have a lot of good friends from that place.
So, we went through like a whole thing with some of them guys.
Sure.
We went through we hung out at the pool hall because it was directly across the street from my mom's Frank's nursery. We went through like a whole thing there. Like we crashed up a bunch of cars and shit. I mean? Like, yeah. Cause we thought we were something else because we're from another neighborhood.
Yeah.
I mean? So we're coming in there 15, 16 when you're running around like knuckleheads. You know what I mean? Not to mention being all fucked up on the drugs.
Yeah. It's thinking you're invincible.
Yeah. So, whatever, man. But, I don't know, dude. Like, he gets shot in his drug deal going bad. This is 03 to 06 when the oxys really hit the neighborhood heavy. Now my brother still got a bullet in him. He's getting all these prescriptions. So like I come home. When I went away, it was sociably acceptable drugs and alcohol. Like, Xannies and Valiums and Coke in the bar on Friday and Saturday, show up to work on Monday. Like normal, everyday people.
Which is crazy to even say out loud. I'm the same way, dude. Like I would have a startup kit next to my bed on Friday mornings.
Of course you would.
Like a crushed up perk with some Coke because I don't go to bed till 3:00 in the morning on Thursday and I'm not going to miss work. Like that to me was like, well, it's just my average Friday.
Yeah, that's how we get this party started. I mean, it lasts till Tuesday, but you know what I mean. So when I come home though, everybody's like all flipped out and like, mind you, I got 28 months without a drink, drug, anything. I'm fresh out of jail, I'm on state parole. You know what I mean? I think that I'm going to drink vodka and orange juice on Friday and Saturday night. And that lasted one Friday and one Saturday. And then I was doing it every day. And then I smoked the joint again for the first time. And once I did that, I started taking the pills. And then I got in an accident on State Road. I was working for a roofing company. I got in an accident on State Road. And then I started getting the pills. I started getting a check from like workman's comp every 2 weeks. And, I fell right in suit what everybody else was doing. The girl ended up coming back. I had a kid with her, and I lived like not far from here, like Tarsdale and like Sheffield area.
Yeah, I know where that's at.
Yeah, so I had an apartment over there, and like whatever, dude, it just got real bad, real fast. And this is like 08, maybe 2 years after I get out. And the girl had left, went back with her family. We just had a brand new kid. And, I end up in my first detox, Mercy detox. And
what made you go?
Well, so you talk about like the day before rehab.
Yeah.
Like, that was my day before rehab type thing. Like, and at this point, like, I'm sniffing powder and I'm like in the pill game.
You're all in it.
But I'm not like down the way yet. You know what I mean? So, I remember it's like, I got dude banging on my door. I owe him like 2 months rent. You know what I mean? Like I crashed my truck again. You know what I mean? Like I got no way to make no money. The girl's not even bringing the kid around because it's so crazy over there.
Yeah.
I got random ass people stopping by because I'm middleman and shit.
Yeah.
And I had been doing that my whole life. I'm going back. Me and my brother have been involved with shit like that my whole life. Like back to the house phone days. Like when you had one line in the house and it's like, he's got his people calling the house. I got my people. So it's like, if he's not home, like, matter of fact, he ain't around, but come on over.
I got you.
You know what I mean? Like them days.
Yeah.
And
but you remember the old head dude, Lurch? Remember Lurch? He's supposed to be a big tough guy from ghetto. Back when we had the landlines, dude, I think I owed the bookie like $100, dude. I'm like 17 and Lurch calls my house for like $1.20. And I remember being so fucking scared. Like Lurch was the tough guy in the neighborhood growing up. And I'm like, oh my God, he's got my number, dude. Like this is for real. But just the landline, I remind me of that. I was like scared to death.
Yeah,
dude.
we forget like that. And this is how we know we're getting old. Like I'll be 40 next month. This is how we know we're getting a little older. Like that shit it feels like not that long.
Nah, shit. I remember I told somebody at work, like before, we used to have regular phone numbers without area codes.
Yeah.
My number was 335-0733. We didn't use the 215.
Yeah.
And so like, you know, whatever, maybe later in grade school, but like I feels like yesterday, dude.
Yeah, my number 335, 34, 35. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I had it. But whatever, man. So I end up in the mix with everybody else. I go to my first detox, and like you say, dude, I remember sitting in this place, and I'm like I'm to the point where I'm like hungry because I'm not even spending money on food. You know what I mean? And I remember I talking to my mom, like, yo, I just want to live like a normal life. You know what I mean? Like, and I couldn't coordinate, like, in order to get somewhat normal, I'm going to have to put these drugs and alcohol down.
Yeah, it didn't compute like that had to happen.
That at that stage of my development, it's like I just had to figure out the right combination. You know what I mean? It wasn't like I had to stop completely. That was not an option. It was just, what is the right combination? Like you said, the Friday morning setup. It's like X, Y, and Z is going to get me to A, B, C. You know what I mean? Like, I need that right combination. But so I ended up in a detox, and I ended up losing the apartment. The guy kind of took that away while I was going. They sent me to a recovery house in Kensington, and I had never been to a recovery house before. I didn't even really know nobody that was sober like that. My Uncle Tony had like years sober, but I didn't know him to go to AA. I just know he stopped drinking. You know what I mean? And so I go to this detox. They put me in a recovery house in Kensington and Frankfurt and Willard. This is 2008. And I get 30 days sober. You know what I mean? I'm doing waterproofing around the corner. When they say all these dudes on Facebook say it's the toughest job in the world, I agree with that. That job sucks. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I'm running these buckets of stone.
That's like the French drains and shit? Yeah, that dude, sounds terrible.
It's terrible, dude. It's terrible. I'd rather roof any day of the week, you know. But so whatever, you know what I mean? My brother's doing this waterproofing around the corner. I'm doing it with him. I get 30 days sober. You know what I mean? First time since, you know, I left jail. And I go to the guys running the recovery house. I'm like, yo, what's up, man? Like, it's 4th of July weekend. Like, I'm looking to go down the shore. My whole family's going down there. He's like, oh, you ain't ready yet. I was like, oh, well, I mean, I'm not staying here then. You know what I mean? So of course, I take off. You know what I mean? I go down the shore anyway. I go to this campground down there, and that's where I met my wife at.
Really?
Yeah. So now, like, I had met her once or twice before, but never. Like,
is she from the same area as you?
No, she's from Roxborough.
Okay.
Totally different background. You know what I mean? Like, Irish Catholic girl from Roxborough.
Might as well be a different world, right?
Yeah. her dad was like a narcotics cop. You know what I mean? And,
I've heard you talk about that dude before.
Yeah. And, you know, like, you know, and she's like from a normal house. Like, they're Irish Catholic. They drink like normal people. You know what I mean? And they're normal.
That's where it ends.
You know what I mean? Yeah. They're normal, you know? So, whatever. So I end up hooking up with her, and, you know, like, there was an instant attraction. Good girl meets jerk off, you know? And I was everything that a father would not want his daughter to be with at that time in my life. You know what I mean? And whatever. So within 3 months, maybe 6 months, she's pregnant and I'm in prison. You know?
Really?
Yeah, Bucks County on some, like, whatever road rage case or some stupid shit. And, you know what I'm calling home? Baby, baby, baby. It's going to be different this time. You know what I mean? Because, you know, when we get in them situations, like, dude.
You feel it's going to be different.
Dude, I intend on doing the right thing.
Yeah.
You know what
you
I mean?
believe the words that you're saying in that moment for sure.
I so intend on doing the right thing. You know what I mean? And
because I feel like we don't realize how much work it's going to take.
Dude. Like, well, and, you know, I'm still at a point where I'm trying to figure out the combination.
Yeah, the magic potion.
Yeah, it's like, okay, I'm going to take these little orange strips, and that's going to help me get
they
here.
Killed me for years.
Yeah, and then it's like, matter of fact, these strips don't work. I'm going to go get this juice from next to the Dunkin' Donuts. You know what I mean? Because, you know, every clinic in the city has donuts next to it, right?
That's funny. It's like the one on Welsh Road, dude.
Yeah, well, and then they, you know, my brother was there for a couple of years. I went there for like 6 months, dude, and it's like, they got meetings at the Dunkin' Donuts. The methadone. You know what I mean?
I've seen it. I've seen it.
Wild, you know what I mean? But whatever. So you know, she ends up getting pregnant, and you know, I get out of jail, and my dad lets me back in. He puts me back on the roof. And, you know, my parents, like, I love them. You know what I mean? My parents are great people, and they instilled good values.
They're both still around?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So they instilled very good values in me, you know, like Bronx Tale shit. You know what I mean? Like, my dad's a tough guy. I got up every day, 5 o'clock. He went to work.
That's a tough guy. My father's a tough guy.
Like he, you know, and he would all, you know, he was the man. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Taught me how to roof. You know what I mean? And it brought me to where I'm at today. You know what I mean? And you know, but he would put me back in the basement, And then, I go to back to work with him. And, within a week, dude, I'm right back at it. So after this happened like 2-3 times of me getting out of jail and all this bullshit, he's like, yo, man. He's like, you can't come here no more. Stop letting me come to the house.
Really?
Because every time I go there, he puts me back on the roof. I burn the bridge, you know what I mean? And, that's it. You're done. So my twin brother lives right like Sheffield and Frankfurt at this time, Sheffield and Tarsdale, whatever. And, he's got like 9 kids. My brother's got a set of twins, you know what I mean? He's got like, not literally 9 living with him. I think maybe 7 or 8 living with him at that time, but like he's got a lot going on. You know what I mean?
Now, was he all into the roofs like you were too?
So, he did the waterproofing, and my brother was a hustler, man. You know what I mean? Like he went through a phase where he was selling cars. He did the waterproofing, and he always hustled. You know what I mean? Like that was them scripts he started getting back in 06 or whatever it was. He got them things literally forever. You know what I mean? And, that was like, it wasn't nothing wrong with that. As far as we're concerned, that's how that shit
That's
went.
how you make money.
You know what I mean? That's
how you're paying your bills.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And, whatever, dude. So, I end up friggin' can't go to my brother's house no more. Cause like he would let me in and shit, but it's like, dude, I got all these kids here. Like Uncle Smokey's getting out of jail every other weekend. Like I can't have you like this. You know what I mean? Even though at this point
he's going too.
Yeah, he's going like he's got somewhere to live, so it doesn't seem bad.
He's like the next couple
yeah.
rungs up.
He's a little higher up than me, you know what I mean? But whatever. So like in the midst of this, dude, I end up homeless, you know what I mean? Like I end up like real deal, like living in Kensington, you know what I mean? There's this thing, Angels in Motion or whatever. Did you ever hear that on Facebook? So it's like, whatever, Angels in Motion, like this lady started because her son's an act and shit. So I end up meeting this kid named Drew. I meet him, he's like holding a sign at McDonald's or something. And I'm telling him I got nowhere to go and shit. And he's like, oh, dude, come on, I'll show you. You know what I mean? He's got like this factory down like Aramingo and Venango, like hooked up. It's like pretty nice.
Like an abandoned building that he hooked up?
Yeah. And it's like, dude, for like somebody who's living on the street, like kind of got it going on. You know what I mean? And whatever, I end up crashing there and I stayed stuck out there for like 5-6 years, man. And like, let me just be clear. Like, I did not live on the street for 5-6 years straight. Like, I would go to jail for 2-3 months at a time. I remember my wife's family actually took me in one time. I think when I got out of rehab or jail or something, I got like a job, like overnight working at Northeast Windows, and they took me in like, I think for maybe like 3-6 months. And then I started working roofing up in Roxborough with some dude I was in jail with up there. And, for my wife's dad being a cop, narcotics especially, like I remember he caught my brother down the way once or twice. He caught me down there once or twice. You know what I mean? Like that dude always gave me a fair shake. You know what I mean? Like was always fair with me, But and like today I think about like my daughter's like 14 now coming up. Like if she brought me home from back then,
it would not be okay.
I'd be like, dude, what?
Yeah, it would not be okay.
You know what I mean? Like I just think about the patience and tolerance that was granted to me, you know what I mean? And whatever. But anyways, dude, so I end up living in the street and I get all the shit that comes with that, you know what I mean? Like I go through all the stages. Like down there, it's a crash dummy, they call them. Like Bo Not Camera, like selling dope, fucking like there's some fellas here collecting the money. I'm standing there with the shit in case the cops roll up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Dude, my boy Gonzo said to me before when he was living down there that it was him and 2 other dudes from the neighborhood. And, they would either rob drug dealers or sell pins and get some money. And then when they would get high, even though you're homeless, you're with 2 of your boys. And he's like, dude, it was great.
Yeah.
And then I would sober up and it would be terrible again. So it was like, but the way he explained it to me, I was like, I actually, addict that I am, I'm like, that does sound fun.
Dude, I mean, it was bananas. You know what I mean? And it's only because you're walking around totally
lost
in oblivion that you can even deal with it. You know what I mean? Like, you go back to this factory every night with a 50-cent Chinese store candle, but if you got a few bags to take with you, it's like not the end of the world. You know what I mean? The problem is the next morning.
Yeah, I'm sure.
You know what I mean?
You could do it all over again.
And not only that, dude, like most days you wake up like freezing cold. Like, dude, I do not want to go home. You know what I mean? And that's when all the shame and guilt hits you. That's, remember, you got 2 kids out there that you haven't seen in 3 weeks. And then you got to figure out a way to finagle your mom to let you in the house so you can get a shower and shave because you plan on meeting your kid's mom at the Burger King Playland to spend some time with your kids. And I would sit at this Burger King Playland or West Park or wherever I met my kids at. And I would sit there and just think the longer I sat there, the better of a dad I was.
Yeah. And
this is like, whatever, man. And it's a shameful way of life, you know what I mean? Like, but when you're so in it, and then I would get locked up and I would get out and I'd last 2 days before I end up, and then I'm just constantly on the run from bullshit. And, I drag anybody down with me, you know what I mean? And don't get me wrong, dude, I had little spurts where I would get back working again and do good, couple weeks, whatever, but I just ended up back in the jackpot, you know what I mean? And by the end of this, though, like, I'm harming other people at this point because I talked my now wife into taking me to a friggin' Kohl's up in Andorra. So, and I'm stealing like small Nike pants because that's what all the little hustlers down there wear. I just go in, I grab a bunch of Nike shit off the thing, and I throw it in her trunk, and I roll out. She's like, "What the hell are you doing?" I said, "Dude, just drive." You know what I mean? I leave like a pair of the pants in the trunk. I'm already on the bus down the way. She gets pulled over with my daughter in the car and gets arrested in front of my daughter. Now, I don't know this at the time. You know what I mean? I'm blowing her phone up. Finally, her sister picks up. And her sister's like, she's like, "You got my sister in trouble. You're a no good piece of shit. Like, you ain't never going to be no good. Like, go jump off a bridge." You know what I mean? Like, that's basically what she said to me. Not them exact words. I'm paraphrasing. Like, one thing I always share is like, that was the most heart-piercing shit that I had heard in so long, because in that moment, everything that girl said was so true. I was 1,000% that dude. And
that's tough.
I mean, me and my wife not laugh about it now, but she's like, "You were supposed to turn yourself in." I'm like, "Bitch, it would have been too dumbass to sit in there." But
I think that's the beauty of where you're at, and myself in a way where, like, my wife and we can laugh about some shit.
I mean, dude, like, even yesterday, I got stuck in a jet ski. I had the army crawl 300 yards in friggin' all this marsh. My legs and my feet are all cut up. And my wife and my son come pick me up. I'm covered in mud. And I told my son, I seen him crack a smile. I said, "Don't you dare.
Don't say it.
Don't you dare, dude." You know what I mean? And it was good, though, man. It's whatever. All safe and sound. Jet ski, too. But, whatever. So, very shortly after that, dude, I get arrested. And like I said, like, my girl's dad always gave me a shot and all that. But, like, you can imagine at this point, this dude's like DEA and shit. You know what I mean? Like, for his daughter to get locked up, she's never been in trouble before or nothing like that. She's got a call from the roundhouse. They got to come pick my daughter up from the gas station. Like, I imagine he was probably mortified.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, at the time, I'm not thinking about none of that because I don't friggin' know, And, but after that, there was no more like, "I want to see you make it." It was like, stay away from my family, you know what I mean? And I didn't see my wife for like 3 weeks, almost a month after that. I was just stuck in Kensington. I remember the last time I seen her before I went to jail, and we almost felt like strangers for like an hour. You know what I mean? I seen her for like an hour. We hung out and talked a little bit, and we almost felt like strangers a little bit, And I go to jail. I get locked up, like, and I go to jail, and I'm there at 2:00 in the morning, and they hand me a piece of paper and they slide it over and say, "Yo, put your phone numbers on here and make a phone call." Now I'm at a point in my life where they give me 5 slots for phone numbers. I'm at a point where I don't have one person that'll answer the phone for me 2 in the afternoon, let alone 5 people 2 in the morning. You know what I mean? So I'm broken, dude. I'm broken on every level that a man can be broken. Like, physically, I am malnourished. I'm 350 right now. I was 180 pounds.
Damn.
My nickname is Head and Shoulders. You know what I mean? Like, dude, I look like a walking blow pop. You know what I mean? Spiritually, like, just dead. Like, literally just wanting to die. You know what I mean? Mentally, like, dude.
Gone.
Yeah. Just totally gone. You know what I mean? And all my scorecards read 0. Like
Yeah,
they
you hear
say,
that?
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And,
that's a fact.
so I make the phone call. I make the phone call from jail to her, you know what I mean? Again, mind you, she's 5, 6 bids deep at this point. Like, they're all 3, 6, 9-month hits for retail thefts and all the bullshit we do when we're out there, you know what I mean? But I call her and I'm like, tears in my eyes. I'm like, yo, I'm telling you, dude, I do not want to live this way no more. Like, I'm calling you right now because I just want you to, like, know that, like, I mean it this time. Like, I'm going to do something different. Like, if you can ride this thing out with me one more time. And she's like, of course.
Oh man, that fucking melts my heart, bro.
Yo, of course.
That's probably all you needed in that moment.
In that moment. And I want to tell you that that's my sober date. But it's not.
It's not.
I believed it too.
You gave me the chills just the way you described it.
I believe it. I believed it too, dude.
Yeah.
I believed it too. And I rolled around the cell in CFCF for 3 days. I end up in the jail I'm going to. It's always the same knuckleheads in there. So I end up, getting with all the guys that are doing all the wrong shit. And I think I did like 3 months that time. December 22nd, 2015 was my last drink. Some dude was dying of cancer in the infirmary ward. And he was so hungry that he was willing to trade his pain medication for food. So me being a good alcohol guy, I send this dude every bit of food I got. He sends me down his dying pain medication. And if when I was back them tracks and them playgrounds drinking them quarts, you'd have told me that the last party I was going to have was some friggin' dying guy's pain medication that was going to get me high for 5 minutes, I would have laughed at you.
Yeah.
There was no way. You know what I mean? And on the 23rd, I walked out of prison. December 23rd, 2015, I walked out of prison like I had a million times before. I used less than 24 hours before this. And I walked out of jail, I got like a token, $1 or whatever. I get a Newport. I'm smoking a cigarette. My brother's still at Sheffield and Tarsdale at this point. So he's always the first stop. Yo, bro, I need a couple hours, whatever. And I go to my brother's house and, we'll say he's in the middle of drinking. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, damn, dude, like, what are you doing? And he just looks at me. He's like, nothing you ain't going to be doing in 2 days.
Oh,
yo.
And he don't say it maliciously. It just comes out.
It's just like,
that's reality at that point.
He knows what it is. I know what it is. And that's just the long and short of it.
Yeah.
And, it was true. But yo, for the first time in my life, they talk about like moment of clarity. Right?
Yeah.
So mind you, when I got locked up, I forgot to give you how I got locked up. I was a crackhead Olympian. So so I jumped the L at Church Street and I get pulled over by septic cops. Like this is like 2015. So I guess all the real video from, at least to me, is when it first started jumping off. And dude's like, yo, did you jump the turnstile? I said, absolutely not. I'm shocked and appalled. And
me?
Yeah, mind you, I look crazy. You know what I mean? I look like the type of dude that would jump the turnstile. You know what I mean? And he's like, this ain't you in the video? And I was like, dude, I do have a twin brother. You know what I mean? And he's like, there is no shot in this world that there's two people like you running around right now. I was like, dude, I'm telling you, bro. And whatever. He's like, dude, you got like 5 more. Just give it up. You know what I mean? And that's when I went in. But when I see my brother and he's in there drinking and I'm fresh out of the joint again, and I cleaned up these warrants finally, and I just seen it for what it was, dude, for the first time. I was like, damn, if I do that right now, it's just going to set this whole ball wax like back in motion.
Right back in motion, yeah.
You know what I mean? And so my first thought is like, save me something. My second thought is like, dude, I do not want to set this all back up like this.
And you got zero program at this point.
Dude,
zero.
Nothing. I literally got high 24 hours before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I would go to AA meetings in jail to like make some moves and shit, but like
that's about it.
You know what I mean? Like my buddy Joey Clay, man, he took me to a couple of NA meetings before, but I felt super weird there. I think they knew I was high.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's an awkward experience right there, boy. I've done that so far.
Yeah, and
terrible.
It's like, this ain't even working. It's like, oh, you're coming here high. Like, of course it's not working. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't know, man. Like, I don't know where it came from, dude. Divine intervention.
It's
like,
crazy.
Whatever. It's like, I told my brother, yo, I'm going to AA meeting. And he had went to AA before that. And like, but he was on a clinic at the time, but he was like trying to work out. He's going to the clinic, doing it the right way. And like, he actually hooked up with like Mike White and them dudes.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, they gave him a big book, but he felt funny because he was on methadone. You know what I mean? And,
Yeah.
whatever. So he's like, all right, dude, I'll walk you around. So he walks me around at a meeting. And dude, it's 2 days before Christmas. You know, my best thinking is go back to what we always know: go see the doctor, get some scripts, do the deal. You know what I mean? You know, I don't know. Like, my wife's got to like sneak to see me. You know what I mean?
Because of her parents.
Yeah. You know what I mean? My other son's mom is like, you know, when you get your shit together, you can kind of call us and you'll see him and shit, you know? So of course I'm full of shame and guilt. You know, it's 2 days before Christmas. I know I got 2 kids. I can't see them really, you know what I mean? And then, you know, like when I came over from upstate the first time, it was like almost like they threw me a party. My dad's like, this fucking kid didn't go to Iraq. You know what I mean? Like, dude, went to jail.
My wife just said something to me this weekend, like, what do you want to do for your 1 year? I'm like, nothing. Like, let's stop that kind of talk right now, dude. But I get it. Like, what? So I've been a horrible husband for 7 of the 8. Like, now we're good.
You know, I mess with my wife all the time because, like, so we've been together 16 years. I'm sober 8.5. I tell her, I said, yo, you got more good than bad, dude. At this point, you know
Joe,
what I mean? Like,
dude, I keep like, I know we don't think like this really, but like. I say it all the time. When I get that fucking 8 years, dude, I'm telling you right now, there's gonna be none of them fucking. Well, you were a drug addict your whole life, so I get it.
Yeah.
We joke around about that shit. That's hilarious.
But yo, so I go to meeting and like, dude, and the longer I stay sober, the more I realize this. I went to the 12 noon meeting at the Stone. So first and foremost, no matter who you are, in the program, out of the program, still getting high, drunk, sober, whatever. Like, yo, the first time in my life that I went to an AA meeting, right out of getting out of jail, treatment, whatever, like I've literally been released from prison at 10 a.m. I was at the 12 noon Stones and I've been sober ever since.
It's fucking awesome.
Well, yo, and when they used to come in to like detox and rehab and shit, when I would go there and get my little oil change, and they would always say, make a meeting as soon as you get out of here. And you're like, yeah, definitely. You know what I mean? And then like, you just never follow through.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The first time that I actually made a meeting, I've been sober ever since, you know what I mean? And I don't know, but one of the things I respect the most, man, is like there were some dudes in there with like double-digit sobriety who got the good life that AA gives us. And they were still at a 12 noon meeting 2 days before Christmas putting their hand out to a new guy.
That's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of it. You're the same way. You're the same way with me.
But
the same way.
That's like, dude, that's the part that we were missing before. You know what I mean? Like how about it? Like these dudes, like we come into AA for this good life, you know what I mean? But when we come in, it's like this unread contract that we sign. It's like, yo, bro, I'm going to give you this gift and take this obsession up off you. I'm going to need you to do a few things every day, and I'm going to need you to help a whole lot of people. You know what I mean? And like what happens is we get blinded by the light and like we start to get this good life.
Yeah, you got all the cool things, the job, the money, the girl, the kids.
Exactly. And then you know what? We forget like to connect. You know what I mean? We forget to come back to connect. Like, dude, like
you know the beginners meeting on Monday at Life or Death?
Yeah,
obviously. You might have been there when the dude said it. He said AA worked so well, I stopped coming.
AA worked. Yo, dude, they say that the life that AA gives you takes you out of it. You know what I mean? And it's like, yo, like, you know, you read in the book, dude, Dr. Bob's Nightmare, he talks about like, yo, I do it because it's like, I kind of have to, you know what I mean? Like, and, you know, like, I don't know, man, like, I just respect those guys more and more the longer I stay sober. Cause like, you know, at times I enjoy going to meetings. That's one thing I've been blessed with. Like I've never lost my desire to go to meetings, you know what I mean? But like, there's been times like, you know, life starts to show up a little bit. And the rule of thumb is I never miss 2 in a row.
Okay.
So, which, you know, I break that rule every now and again because I'm sober a little while now. A lot of life is going on. But, you know, so if I go to one Monday night and I don't go Tuesday, I make sure I'm at one Wednesday. You know what I mean? You know, I try not to miss 2 in a row. Yeah,
well, you know the recipe now.
Yeah. You know what I mean? And,
it's like the opposite of what we were trying to do. You're trying to find a recipe to stay on and not ruin your life. And now you got the recipe to stay sober.
But dude, and I never went to a recovery house neither. I did that 130 days in a recovery house back in 2008, but I had never been to a recovery house. So, you know, I end up going to, I go to the meeting. I hook up with these two dudes, Kev Hackler and Jerry Scannell, and I'm telling them my ideas, like, yeah, I'm ready to go see this doctor, dude. And they're looking at me like I'm crazy, because they're sober for real.
For real.
Like, I'm looking at them like, are you guys not with this shit? You know? So, whatever, man. Like, so,
well, it's hard to turn it all off at once.
Yeah.
It's hard.
And this is my normal now. You know what I mean? So I'm talking to these guys like everything's okay. And they're looking at me like I'm nuts.
Mm-hmm.
But, my brother let Uncle Smokey in for the next 2 days. They tell me, they said, yo, man, just come back tomorrow, and I managed to not use that day. And I make it back to the meeting the next day. At this point, it's Christmas Eve, you know what I mean? And, my brother's putting together his Christmas. He's got all kids over there and all, and whatever. So I make the meeting again. I talk to the guys. They say, yo, there's this place called the Prep House. You know what I mean? Like, we could probably try to get you in there, whatever, come Saturday morning to the meeting. I'm like, all right. So whatever. Like, I stay at my brother's house. At this point, I have nothing.
Is that tough for you to stay there? Like, what are you feeling like doing that? Because, like, he's not doing anything that you're trying to do at this point, right?
So, yeah. But
that's got to be nuts.
You got a brother?
No, I have a sister. She's sober 17 years. So, like, we're as close as I imagine you and your brother were.
So, when you know that your sister's sober and you're getting fucked up, even though, like, if you're organically in the same situation, you're still going to be like, yo, don't come near me right now because, you know what I mean? And that's how we always were. Like, you know what I mean? And it seemed like we could never get on track together.
At the same time.
You know what I mean? Like, it was like either he was trying to do right and I wasn't. And then, like, my wife and his wife were like best friends. You know what I mean? So, it's like he's trying to do right and I'm not, or vice versa. You know what I mean? And the girls were like, we got to keep him away from him now. We got to keep him away from him now. You know what I mean? And it was like always that way. So, it was, but, my brother's, it was a family house. You know what I mean? But in his room, he was doing what he was doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, there was a whole lot of life going on.
Outside of that room.
And, outside of that room, there was a whole lot of life going on, So, whatever, man. Like, I'll never forget though, dude. Like, he let Uncle Smokey in again. You know what I mean? I stay in the house and I remember Christmas morning, I feel like a total piece of shit. You know what I mean? It's Christmas morning, 2 days sober, fresh out of jail again. I'm a roofer. There's no work in the winter, especially Christmas Day, Christmas morning like that. And my niece comes over and she gives me a hoodie and my brother's like, we just got you this dog. We didn't want you to feel funny while everybody was opening up their shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like I just felt like, you know what I mean? So small. You know what I mean? And but the next day I go back to the meeting and I end up over at the Prep House at the Saturday morning meeting and they introduced me to Bob Runkle and he says, I got a guy taking a urine for the last spot now. Leave me your number. I'll call you if something opens up. So, in my head, I'm like, all right, I tried this whole recovery thing. It didn't work out. You know what I mean? Like, where do I get my first $20 from? You know what I mean? And I end up, I sat through the meeting. The guy who took me over there is dude Bob Rick, and he took me over. He's like, yo, just relax, dude. You throw a rock any direction, there's 100 recovery houses around here, and whatever. So I go with Bob, and I sit there halfway through the meeting. The dude Runkle comes and gets me, you know what I mean? He's like, that other guy was hot for pot and Suboxone. He's like, if you got a clean urine, I'm going to give you a shot. And I gave him a clean urine. He busts out a list of rules and regs. He has me sign, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I'm like the most inconsistent dude you ever met. I've done everything there is to do. I'm telling you. I did karate till I was a yellow belt. I played baseball for like whatever. My football career lasted like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
We were playing with 16-year-old kids because of my weight. So we're running around the thing with trash bags on.
I've been there.
Yo, he took everybody out for pizza. He gave me and my brother a salad. We looked over, we're like,
nah.
Football shit's dead. Football shit's over, bro.
I used to have to run around Mayfair with the trash bag on. And every once in a while, we'd get some insight that the other team had a fat kid too.
Yeah.
So it would be a wash. Yeah. And we both get to play. So I know.
So I'm like, mind you, we're 12 playing with 16-year-olds as it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's a problem.
Yeah. So whatever. So, whatever, man. Dude's reading the rules and regs. And I'm thinking as he's reading, I'm thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to mess this up. Like for sure, I'm going to mess this up. You know what I mean? But I end up getting in the house, man. And, it amazes me to this day. Like, dude, I've sat across some people with some degrees and, some fancy rehab people and shit to try to psychologically break me down, show me how to get sober, whatever. If I showed you the crew of dudes that God picked to put in my life to help me stay sober, it is the most motley looking crew ever. You know what I mean? It is like, dude, it truly takes one to know one. You know what I mean? And it's like, whatever, you know, and these guys help me in ways that I can't even begin to tell you, man. Like, and, you know, when I first came in, if you gave me a pen and paper and was like, yo, here you are, Joe, write down everything you need to change your life. I'd be like, you know what, man, thank God, you know, 10 grand, pickup truck, gold chain, you know, this is the type of shit I would write down. It. I didn't get none of that. But what I did get was the biggest gift that you can give the real deal alcoholic, willingness.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, for the first time in my life, like God opened my ears and gave me the ability to not only hear some shit, but to listen to it. So these dudes are telling me to pray. I start praying. They're telling me, yo, if you ain't working, go to 2-3 meetings a day. I went to 2-3 meetings a day. So after about 2 weeks, I tell my sponsor, I'm like, yo, this recovery house was really cool. I appreciate everybody here, you know what I mean? Like, but I need like
my own spot.
I need an apartment.
Yeah.
I need something.
Already ready to throw a wrench in the motherfucker.
Yeah. And he's like, hold on, dude. I was like, and I need some work. You know what I mean? So my dad had offered me to come back to work with him, and I denied it this time.
What's the reason for that?
You know, it's going to sound kind of weird, but emotional abuse.
Yeah.
And as a man, you don't want to say that. But I think part of the reason is dad would always put me in the basement, put me back on the roof. And then 3 days out the week, he'd be like, all right, dickhead, how you going to mess it up this time? And then, you know, Friday morning, 4 a.m, before I got to be at the shop at 6, I'm under the Kip Street Bridge shooting up like, yeah, you're learning your lesson. Like,
that's crazy that was the thought process that you had. Cause that's like a comfortable spot. Like Pop's got you a job, like you get a paycheck and you're like, nah, it's not, I failed every time I tried this way. So let me do it a different way. That's crazy.
So nuts, dude, like nuts. And, you know, I ended up, I was staying out back at the prep and, you know, like, but all in all the way from the time I was 15, started with my dad to all the way through, like whenever I would try to get my shit together, I'd always get back on the roof. I'd get in with companies, you know what I mean? Whatever. And old man Danny DeMarco came over.
Yeah. Is he still sober?
I don't know.
You know, well, because I see him around, but not at meetings.
Yeah.
And he was obviously a staple at Bernard's.
Oh, dude. He's the man.
Yeah, he's the man.
He comes over. He's like, any numb nuts shingle? I was like, I done a little shingling, you know what I mean? And I went with his son and we shingled a little pen. It was my first day back to work in a long time, you know what I mean? And then I caught a couple of days with him. Then I ended up getting in with a little company. And in the midst of this, like I'm staying sober. Like I'm slinging meetings. Like I started taking a chair. And then like,
you're doing the deal.
I'm doing the deal. I didn't even know it. You know what I mean?
You're just doing it.
I'm just doing whatever they tell me to do. And,
you and Shives, every time I hear that, doing the deal, it's a fucking thing. Bro, there's a process to this thing.
Yo, and it was just so crazy because I don't know, man. Like I had never been sober before, and I had been on the street for like 5-6 years at this point. So like just doing things was like new to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then like my wife would be sneaking up to see me. I get to see my kid a little bit, you know what I mean? And like, so whatever, man, like I guess like 70 days sober, maybe something like that. I see this old guy, Greg, right? And Greg is this old Vietnam vet that I know from when I'm running the streets in Kennington. And he's got like this mastermind how he steals from dollar stores, right? But I see Greg, and Greg's like, dude, what happened to you? He's like, you look crazy. You just got out of jail. I was like, well, now, like almost 2 months ago. I said, but I'm in this recovery house. I'm staying sober. I was like, shit's going great, dude. I was like, come on. I was like, I'd probably get you in there. You know what I mean? Come with me. You know?
Already willing to help.
Yo,
you're ready.
I'm like, yo, let's go. You know what I mean? Mind you, it's like February. It's 0 below out. Greg's like not doing good at all. And I'm like, he's like, whoa, I'll think about it. You know? And I'm like,
okay.
All right, dude. You know what I mean? Like at this point, my rational thing is already coming back. You know what I mean? And like, I'm like, yo, well, take my number, dude. Like, yo, my sponsor says we can help people get into rehab and all that. And yo, like a week later, Greg calls me. He's like, yo, man, I was thinking about what you said. And he's like, you know, I wanna take you up on that, taking me to rehab. I was like, all right, dude, hang on. You know what I mean? So I'm pumped. I never 12-stepped somebody in my whole life. I call my sponsor. I'm like, yo, Like, you got to get down here. Like, I got Greg, man. Like, he's ready to go to rehab. You know what I mean? At this point, my sponsor's like 13, 14 years sober. He probably 12-step 300 people. Like,
right.
Kev Heckler, dude, great dude. And, you know, he's like, all right, dude, like, relax. You know what I mean? So he comes and gets me. We pick Greg up, and the whole way down, I'm telling Greg, I'm like, dude, we're in the recovery house. I'm like, we had these little poker games. I'm like, you know, we're slinging these meetings together. You know what I mean? We get you in there, maybe get working again, you know? And he was actually a Vietnam vet. So we ended up taking him to the VA, and we walked him in there. And as we're leaving, you know, I'm so green at this recovery shit. Yeah. I'm looking over at my sponsor. I was like, all right, dude, like, so what's going to happen? Greg going, you know what I mean? He's going to stay sober. He's going to do the deal. He's like, I don't know. He's like, but let me ask you something. He's like, when was the last time that you helped somebody and genuinely did not want anything in return? It's kicking the nuts, dude.
Yeah. We're so selfish.
I never helped somebody and not wanted something in return. Never. And, I had a feeling that I had never felt before in my entire life. Like, I felt something that I had never felt before.
Good, bad, just different?
Dude, like, I was literally floating.
Yeah.
Like, I had never helped. Like, dude, I genuinely wanted nothing from Greg. That was the first time I've ever helped somebody and didn't want something in return. You know what I mean? Ever. And shortly after that, my twin brother came in and he got sober. So, but then my brother comes in. He comes in a recovery house. And
you set this up for him to come in, or like?
Well, it was funny because, like you said before, like, isn't that hard for you going over there? So now when I first got sober, Heckler would pick me up and we go to St. Anthem's every Friday night for the beginners meeting.
That's a great spot, wasn't it?
Dude, that was cool.
That was a great spot.
And there was a guy there that talked about AA etiquette. Thank God he did, because I didn't know. Like, yo, if you come in late, don't share.
Yep.
If you're chairing a meeting, don't put your hand up to share. You know, don't text and talk on the phone during the meeting. You know, just like
the rules.
You know, etiquette. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't know that. Like, thank God that dude did that, and I was at that meeting, and because I would have made a fool of myself. You know what I mean? But so yeah, my brother comes in, he gets sober, and then my cousin comes in, he gets sober. And then my buddy Will comes in. Like, now we got a crew, dude.
Yeah,
like,
these are your friends and your family now.
Dude, we're like, and we're all in the prep. You know what I mean? We're doing the deal. And whatever, like, I guess maybe 6 months sober, I ended up going to a sober house up the street. And this was like a turning point for me, you know what I mean? No pun intended for the shirt. Whatever. So it was literally like a turning point for me, though, because I go to the sober house and like everybody in there is supposed to be sober, right? And nobody's sober except for the one dude that told me about the place, and he ends up moving out. So like, I give dude a week deposit plus a week rent, and I go down to Shore that weekend. And I'm like, yeah. I see like a sticker on the window, like no hot water type shit. And the guy calls me Friday. He's like, hey, Joe, today was rent day. I was like, yeah, well, I was like, you got no hot water in the joint and everybody's high. He's like, oh, what should I do? He said, I don't know. I said, but I ain't coming back there. He's like, all right, well, do you want to talk about it Sunday? So I go there. I'm like, yeah. What do you want to talk about? I'm like, this place is crazy. Like, what's your goal here? To make money or to help people stay sober?
Right.
He's like, yeah, I want to help them stay sober. He's like, what do we got to do? I said, well, we got to start by clearing out this upstairs where I'm at, getting all these dudes out of here. So I ended up moving my cousin and my buddy Will up there. We stayed there for like 14 months together. You know what I mean? We were able to bring our kids over and our girls and stuff because it was us, you know what I mean? And in the midst of this, my brother ends up staying sober for a little while. But, I don't know if I should talk about this, but I'm going to. But my brother, he ended up getting 8 months sober the first time. And let me start by saying this, like, when he got sober, it was hands down the best time of our lives together.
Yeah.
Drugs and alcohol and girls had literally tore us apart. You know what I mean? Now, of course, like, we were always there for each other and shit, whatever. But like, we were never as close as we were when we were kids. But like, when we got sober together, dude, that was hands down.
Well, it's like real. It's authentic.
Dude,
it's like, you're present.
It was the best.
That's what I tell you. I can only compare that to my sister. Our relationship, she's sober 17 years. I got 8 months and 3 weeks. So every interaction that we had, that's just hanging out there. You know what I mean? And now we're so fucking connected, dude. So I get it.
Cherish that, bro.
Yeah, I get it.
Cherish that. Like, and whatever. So you know, my brother still did the scripts though. But let me say,
I remember you saying that.
Let me say this, like, 29 days out the month, like my brother would do the deal. He would help dudes pray, make meetings, do the deal. But one day out of the month, he'd take a piece of paper from this guy to this guy and he'd make like whatever he would make, you know what I mean? And I told him, I said, yo, bro, that shit's going to eat you up and you're going to end up using over it. Because that God conscience I talked about, which in the beginning, like that comes back, you know what I mean? Whether you want it to or not, you get better in spite of yourself. And he ended up picking up and started with weed. And he's like, I know, because I smoked a blunt. Everybody in AA says my life's supposed to get bad. I'm like, nah, dude, like your experience up until this point says your life's supposed to get bad. Like if you think you're just going to go back to smoking weed, because it don't go like that. Because like we talked about, like I tried every combination there is to try, just don't go. You know what I mean? So he went out for a little bit, but in the midst of this, first I get 3 months sober, like they're telling me about steps and meds and shit. So when I first came in and got sober, I wanted to prove it to my wife's family, even more than my own. You know what I mean? So I get 3 months sober. At this point, my wife's seeing me pretty regular. And I'm like, yo, tell your dad, you know what I mean? I want to talk to him. You know what I mean? And she's like,
not a good idea.
He don't want to talk to you. 3 months sober, As far as I'm concerned, 3 months might as well be 30 years. Because like, dude, I've never had no sober.
Yes. What do you mean, dude? I got 9 days sober.
Yeah, I'm like, yo, all's forgiven, right? You know what I mean? And so of course she gets pregnant again. And so she's having my daughter, which now my last kid was with her 7 years before this. So like I said before, I got a son's gonna be 17 in September, a daughter's gonna be 15, August 27th, same day as me, we had the same birthday. And then my other daughter's gonna be 8, September 11th. So like, there's a big gap there. So my wife gets pregnant again. And 6 months, I tell her, like, yo, tell your dad, practically friggin' Bill Wilson here. I got 6 months, like 180 days. And I remember her saying, like he wants to see a year. And I was like, a year in a row.
Might as well be fucking eternity, dude.
Dude, yeah, like a year is forever. You know what I mean? Like I don't even know if I'm gonna get a year. You know what I mean? But I remember when we had the baby, we're down Temple, and I remember like it was so awkward, you know what I mean? Because I could tell like her dad wanted to talk. Like, which, it was like,
he loves you. He loves you. He cares about it.
Very short, you know what I mean? Yeah. Very short. But but they did talk very little bit. But that Christmas I get the year sober. You know what I mean?
Yep. December 23rd, right?
December 23rd. Like 2 days before Christmas, I get the year sober. And at this point, like I'm in the sober house. And let me back up a little bit. Before that though, I go to fix a roof. At this dude Pete the Clown's house. I don't know if you know Pete the Clown from Life or Death.
Well, does he own the breakfast spot down the way?
No.
Okay.
Different clown. But so Pete the Clown, I go to fix his roof at Longshore in Tarsdale, big 5-bedroom house. I fixed the roof and he's like, yo, this was a recovery house for like 20 years. He's like, dude, we helped a ton of guys. And at this point, I'm so embedded in the recovery house. Like I'm still chairing meetings at the prep. I'm running a sober house where I'm at. And then like, my guys that see this, they're gonna be like, you weren't running shit, we were running it. So let me go ahead and clean that up, Cuzzo and them, yeah. We were in it together. But so anyways, Pete's like, I was like, yo, well, I'll help you make this a recovery house again. He's like, all right, we'll talk, And I was like, all right, whatever. So anyways, he calls me, like, mind you, I'm 8 months sober at this point. He calls me 2 weeks later. He's like, I'll rent you the place. 11 o'clock at night, he calls me. Now, mind you, the spot's Longshore and Tarsdale. You know what that's like, right?
Yep.
That's hood right there.
It is.
I mean, it's crack house central. So,
which is crazy because I grew up at Hagerman and Princeton.
Which was beautiful back then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, so whatever. So he calls me 11 o'clock at night. He's like, yo, I'm going to rent you a place for $1,000 a month. He's like, you got 5 years to buy it. I want X amount after 5 years and whatever. So, I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Like, I'll take it. He's like, all right, first of the month. He's like, you got to get the people out of there. This point, he's got like some real bad hanger owners.
Yeah.
But I'm still like kind of trying to be sober, but kind of hood. So
you're
like,
still,
no problem. They're leaving.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? They're
watch this.
Yeah. Like, hold my Red Bull. You know what I mean? Like, want some sober shit. They're getting out of there. You know what I mean? And, so I go in, I go tell like cousin, my buddy Will, and I'm like, yo, bro, we're about to get this recovery house. Mind you, I'm 8 months sober. Like, I'm living in a sober house, and they're looking at me like, really? I'm like, yeah, dude, watch, come on. You know what I mean? A couple days later, I take them over to see the house. I'm like, yeah, this is it. They're like, yeah, this crack house here, this is going to be the recovery house. I'm like, yeah, you know, we're going to get rid of all the crack and shit. You know what I mean? We're going to make it nice.
It's going to be great.
Like, yo, dude, at this point, I'm like working for Nafi and, you know, I'm slinging roofs. You know what I mean? Working for him. And I end up getting the recovery house going. And, dude, I remember I spent my last $1,300 on beds and TVs for the sober house. Like, dude, I walked into that first prep house with socks on my feet. Like, nobody gave me $1. Like, you know what I mean? My wife helped me out a little bit. Shout out to her Planet Fitness job. And she helped me out a little bit, you know what I mean? Getting sober, of course, smokes and like little rent.
Yeah, the shit to keep you going for the day.
Just getting going, you know. But dude, I remember she was in tears. Like when I gave these people I went and spent $1,300 on the beds and shit. And she's like, dude, I cannot believe you spent all our money like on this place, like trying to do something. Like, dude, I'm telling you, it's going to work, you know. And the recovery house kind of put me on the map a little bit money wise, you know what I mean? Like, you know, we ended up putting like 12 dudes in there, walking a quarter each a week, you know what I mean? And like, I was heavily involved. We had a house meeting every week. You know, it was good, dude. We ended up having a barbecue there and shit. It was cool. But so that's how I got into the recovery house thing. You know what I mean? Well, I mean,
this is your first real opportunity to give back at scale, to help multiple people.
So, and let me go ahead and be all the way forward here.
I get it. I know what you're about to say again.
So there was 1,000% some financial motive there in the beginning.
Yeah.
You know, and not to mention, like, dude, all the guys that are getting sober are all these dudes like I've been in jail with forever, or I grew up with, or, you know, that I used to get high with. Like, these are all like my people, you know what I mean? So now, like, how cool is it to have somewhere to send them? Not to mention, like, you know, newly sober guys is like the biggest labor pool in Northeast Philly. You know what I mean? So now, like, even like all these dudes who are sober while got businesses, they're all coming by. Yo, who you got for this? Yo, who you got for this? You know?
It's like going to the Home Depot at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. So now, you know, we're all slinging work. These dudes who are sober multiple years are getting good labor out of the house. You know what I mean? It's more of a workhouse than it is a recovery house. Like, but it's both, you know. We call it against all odds. Our slogan was that we welcome the long shot.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I love that.
Don't say that in AA because they bring you very long shots. Oh, yeah. But whatever, man. So we end up getting involved with the recovery house. Like, life's going, dude. Like, I'm doing better than I done in forever. You know what I mean? And I get the year sober, and I go talk to her dad, and I make that amends. You know what I mean? Like, and like it holds a little definite weight because I'm like a year sober. You know what I mean? Like, we got the new baby at this point, which my wife and my new baby plus my older daughter is all staying in his house, you know what I mean? And I'm there like that Christmas right around that time. And I make that amends to the dad and, of course, to the mom. And ended up making amends to the sister too, you know what I mean? And, you know,
they all went well. Everybody was receptive.
Yeah, they were pretty good, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm sure a little leery in their own right.
Yeah,
you know
they just need to keep seeing you doing what you're doing.
Yeah. So, dude, listen, every day was a surprise party. I didn't know I was staying sober. Like, you know what I mean? Like, even to me, I was like, holy shit, like, I can't believe this is a year. You know what I mean? Like surprise. You know what I mean? Like, even to me, dude, like, I didn't know. And so I ended up getting back in with the family. At this point, work's going really well. I ended up getting a truck, and I'm working for Nafi, and I ended up throwing a little magnet on my truck. Now I'm hustling side work again off like the Facebook marketplace shit. And, you know what I mean? I'm like getting side work. Plus we got the recovery house going. So then we ended up renting a house up in Roxborough. And, you know, at this point, my brother comes back in. He gets sober again. The second time he got sober, he dropped the scripts, man.
Did he?
Yeah, he stopped doing it. And it was like, God blessed him right away.
Yeah. I mean, just walking into the Stones on Sunday and seeing you two sit next to each other,
dude,
it was fucking awesome.
Dude. And yo, he was about 4 months sober when he stopped the scripts the second time. And like within 2 months, he had 2 trucks with his name. Gagne and Son Roofing. And now my brother had been around roofing his whole life, but that wasn't his charm. The charm of it was the dude was a hustler. You know what I mean? Like he literally could sell anything to anybody at any time.
You know, it's funny because like I'm in school for my MBA, right? And we do a lot of the one class I just had.
What's that for?
So I'm a superintendent, construction management, and the way construction management works, you're either field staff or you're office staff.
Yeah.
Office staff they're on track to get the executive jobs.
Okay.
The field staff is not. They're usually union carpenters who were foremen, who've done well and now become superintendents. But to get like to the next level, to the executive level, it typically doesn't happen for the field staff. So my mind is like, I'll get the MBA and I'll make it happen. That's at least my thought process. But I just had a class. It was called the entrepreneurial finance. And like, there's a mindset that you have. It just, whether it's hustling from back in the day, doing the bad shit or the recovery houses and where you're at now, but you have this mindset of like, it's unbreakable. Like you just always find the angle. That doesn't have to be a bad thing. There's an angle to everything. You find it and you make it happen. It just made me think of that.
How long did you go to school for?
2 years. So it's taken me 3 because the year before I got sober, I stopped going to classes. I did like a leave of absence. So I started back up in January. I should be done in June, 100%. So that's the plan. 2 years if you go nonstop.
That's what's up.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited.
Good.
Yeah.
And that's through the carpenters?
So no, I mean, my company pays a couple bucks towards each quarter, but it's on my own through Drexel.
That's awesome.
You know what I mean? It's like, I'm hoping it works out. You know what I mean? The closer I get, the more scared I get that it's not going to work out. So I stop thinking about it. You know what I mean? I'm in school and I work.
You ever see the thing on Facebook that says, I hate to ruin the ending, but it all works out?
Yeah.
Like, dude, when we're living this way and we're doing this, I remember sitting in front of the public defender and she came in to see me. Like when you're in jail, they come in and they like, hey, these are the charges. This is the deal we're willing to give you. And she says, well, with any luck, this will happen. I says, all right, well, what happens to the rest of us with no luck? You know what I mean? Because, when you're drinking, using, you're messing up, like, dude, there's no luck. I remember literally being on the phone, like, there is a black cloud that follows me. If something can go wrong, it's definitely going wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Dude, my dad would say that to me. He died with 20 years sober, and he would say, damn, boy, you got a black cloud that follows you. And I was like, I'm drinking getting high all the time, of course.
And now I remember your dad being at the meeting. Now, I don't know if it was your 90-day coin or was that what it was when he gave you the coin
in the basement?
No, it was upstairs.
Was it upstairs?
I'm just thinking, I think it was either 90-day coin or 1 year coin. You spoke and he gave you his coin there. You know? I think it was the 90. Yeah.
He was the best. Dude.
That was cool. I know that. And you know what, dude? I looked at my dad the same way. You know what I mean? And you know what? That's another thing too. Like the older I get, like the more I understand. Like, you know what it was for him to try to raise these kids. Like, dude, we put him through hell, like absolute hell. Like remember the scanners back in the day? Like he's home listening to the scanner, and they're describing us on the scanner. Me and my brother, like we're in the pool hall parking lot, crashing in like 3-4 cars. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and they're listening to us on the scanner, and my dad's like, dude. What are you doing?
Well, and now you can appreciate it. Like my dad, when he got sober, he lost our house, lost my mom, had no money, and somehow was able to stay sober from that point on until he died. It's fucking amazing.
It's nuts. Like, and it's crazy because you get this. They say that we tap into an unused resource inside of us, you know what I mean? Which is the big man, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no doubt.
And then not to mention, it's the people we're surrounding ourselves with. Suddenly we're in AA rooms with people that are like positive and encouraging and like moving forward. You know what I'm saying?
Well, they tell you every day, and you've said it a million times, like everything will work out if you stay sober. One way or another. Like it's going to work out.
And we spend so much time worrying about shit.
I still do. It's hard.
Of course.
It's hard.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah, it's tough.
I'm right there with you. But I don't know. So back to the shit with my brothers, he ends it up when he stops the scripts and shit. The second time he gets sober, he ends up having 2 trucks with his name on it right away. You know what I mean? Gagne and Sons Roofing. At this point, I'm got the recovery house going. I'm working for Rob. I'm doing side work, and we're going back down the shore with the family. I'm maybe like a year and a half sober, right? And my father-in-law dies.
Really?
Has a massive heart attack at the campground, and he dies. And he was the rock of the family. You know what I mean? And like like as stand up dudes can be. You know what I mean? Like met his wife in high school. They had the 2 girls, 2 boys, the Irish Catholic family. Like did like campground thing down the shore. He worked hard. His wife like went to work after the kids was like an accountant and stuff. And like, you know, they had the good life, you know what I mean? Like the normal everyday life. And like, but when he died, I remember going to the hospital and her sister sitting there 9 months pregnant, like ready to burst. And I just walk over and I'm like, yo, is there anything I can get you, a bottle of water or anything? And she just looks at me and she says, you have no idea how proud of you my dad was.
Oh, dude.
Yo, a year and a half prior to this, she's like on the phone telling me that I'm a no good piece of shit. I'm never going to be no good to jump off a bridge. And a year and a half after being an Alcoholics Anonymous and practicing these principles in my life, in her worst moment to date, she's telling me how proud of me her dad was. Like,
yeah,
dude. And let me tell you something. Like, yo, you can put me in factories, you can put me on corners, you can leave me in ice cold weather. Try not to do it in ice cold. I hate the ice cold weather. But the hardest thing for me to ever do, I can go through whatever, but to watch the people that I love, my wife and her family, hurting so bad, you know what I mean? That was a tough joint. Sober too, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And of course, you know, I'm still newly sober. I'm like a year and a half in, so I don't want to overstep. I'm kind of just there. AA taught me like, yo, put an arm around her, let her know you love her, and that's it. You know what I mean? And you know, my wife is like, dude, the strongest woman I've ever met.
Yeah.
You know, when her dad died, I remember watching her mom talk to the doctor, and she just like had this stance about her that was just like very strong, you know?
Yeah.
And like the way she
stoic,
out,
like just like,
yo, just
yeah.
like, all right, what's the next move type shit, you know? And like just the way that she held me down for a long time, you know what I mean? And I tried to push her away 100 different times, you know what I mean? I'm like, yo, like, this is not gonna work. Like, you gotta go do what you gotta do, you know what I mean? Like, whatever. And she always stood by me, man. You know what I mean? Sometimes from a distance, but always stood by me. And you know, her whole family's in her ear, like, dude, you gotta let this guy go. Like,
yeah,
obviously nothing's changing here, you know what I mean?
I get it. I think my mother-in-law, if she could have made me disappear before I got sober, she would have made me disappear.
Yeah. Well, and you know, and it's, you know what I mean? Like, now, of course, 8.5 years later, I'm like, I don't blame him. Yeah,
of course,
you know?
Of course.
But then it's like, you know, what the hell?
I'm sorry.
yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? But whatever, dude. So just staying sober, moving forward. We end up renting a little house in Roxborough. I'm like trying to like rebuild credit and shit. And, you know, and then I don't know, man. Like December 23rd, I get 2 years sober. 27th, my brother gets a year. You know what I mean? And that was hands down the best year of our lives together. You know what I mean? And on January 7th, he picked up a Percocet. And on February 9th, he was dead on the bathroom floor. And like, yo, it was hands down the hardest thing that I had been to date in life. You know what I mean? Like, my best friend, dog. You know what I mean? Like, you know?
Yeah.
Fucking.
I can't imagine, dude.
Whoa.
I can't imagine, bro. We all heard about that shit in the rooms. We all heard, because I was in the rooms at the time. Yeah.
Yo, let me tell you though, like, and this is another thing about my wife. So like, they leave to go to the store, and like, he's up in the bathroom, and like, whatever, he ends up doing some shit. He falls over, bangs his head, and like, my wife and his oldest son are up there, like, trying to revive him, like, and like, he's just not coming back. You know what I mean? Northeast detectives left him on the floor there for like 7, 8 hours because they want to do a little investigation, whatever. Like, rigor mortis is set in and all. You know what I mean? My brother was he was a real dude. You know what I mean? He was as real as it gets in like every facet of the word, you know. But he had his chain on and shit. And I remember his girl's like, yo, I want to get his chain off him. You know what I mean? I yelled to the cops. I'm like, yo, because they got 2 cops there for like 7, 8 hours standing there at the bathroom. I'm like, she wants to get his chain off. Can you guys take the chain off? They're like, we're not taking it off, but you can take it off. And she just kind of looks at me, and I go up there, and I'm like, it's a 7-8 hours in, you know what I mean? And it's a sight that I will never ever forget in my life. And but he's like, stiff, and I'm trying to work the chain off his neck, and my first thought was like, dude, this is fucked up. Like, this is fucked up. And then like a little voice in my head went off, said, don't let him get my chain, dog. You know what I mean? And that was like 1000% my brother, you know what I mean? And whatever, man. So we get past that as a family. And
but how did you get past that? Let's talk about it in the rooms. I heard you shared about it, but like, what was that like? That's a fucking big deal. That's the biggest deal. You just said it. That's a big deal. And I'm not trying to, I don't know where you're comfortable. Like, no, I can't imagine what that was like, but you got through it, obviously.
Yeah, now, we're 6 years later now. You know what I mean? But like, dude, let me start by saying this. Like, surprisingly enough, to my own surprise even, like, I didn't feel like drinking or using it. Like, I honestly didn't. You know what I mean? For the first time in my life, I pulled up on a make or break me moment, and it kind of made me instead of broke me. You know what I mean? Like I was able to kind of step up for my family and like make arrangements for that. And like AA showed up for us too.
No doubt.
Like, dude, AA showed up for us. Like all them promises that all the dudes back the fucking playgrounds and the tracks and all the places we hung out as kids, all them promises, all them dudes made, none of them came through. But the men in AA, dude, they passed the basket for them. Dudes were just stopping by. I remember my sponsor just rode around with me to work. Like this happened on a Friday. Like I went to a meeting that Saturday. By Monday, I was back at work, and like my sponsor just rode with me all day just to make sure I was cool. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's just shit like normal dudes just do not do. You know what I mean?
That's the beauty of it, the program, man.
And
it really is.
And it's nuts, man. And but I was working for Nafi still at the time, and my brother's phone was ringing a little bit. Like he had been in business maybe 4 or 5 months, and so I started slinging his roofs to help pay for the funeral, and then like after like I guess I don't know, like this happened in February. By like the end of March, I ended up like starting my own thing. You know what I mean? Like he had asked me when he started, he's like, all right, dude, he's like, this is what he made like a funny thing out of it. He's like, all right, this is what I want for you to be my partner. You know what I mean? He tells me to meet him at Mayfair Diner. We get milkshakes, we're both sober.
Yeah.
And, he slides his paper across the thing. It's like a napkin, like wrote it down. He's like, I want $3,500 for advertising. When you paint your truck white, put Gagne and Sons on it. And I'm like, dude, you don't need me, man. You're already doing it. Like, you're already doing the deal. You know what I mean? You don't need me. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm here for whatever you need. You know what I mean? But like, you don't need me, And, because I had a little roofing business when I came home from upstate, and I always wanted to get back to it. You know what I mean? And it was Big Joe's roofing before, and like I got like a bad review on it that time. Like I hope people don't see that one, but anyway, so we ended up starting the Big Joe's roofing again, and dude, I took the principles that I learned in AA, and it took off, and it took off, dude. And like I got with a website guy, and like they did the whole website and shit. You know what I mean? And at this time, I ended up letting go of the recovery house because in the beginning there was some financial shit there. Like I wanted to get that thing going to like help me get up on my feet. Mm-hmm. But then after a while, I was making good money with the roofing. Like I didn't need that money anymore.
Were you feeling conflicted about that?
Well, no. So here's what happened. In the beginning, there was definitely some financial motive. Along the way, the roofing took off to where the recovery house wasn't like.
Yeah, you didn't need the money.
It wasn't about money anymore. It was more like, and what my guy now says is Mikey Wyman, it's my sponsor, it's my boy, man, it's my mentor. And but what he says is like I lost my moral stamina. Because here's what would happen in the beginning. Like I got sober at the prep. If you get high, you gotta go. You know what I mean? Hot urine, you gotta go. So in the beginning, I'm stone cold. First year, I'm stone cold. Yo, you get high, you gotta go. And then what happened was like, it's all my homies. It's all dudes I went to jail with, grew up with, went to rehab with. And they're like, oh, Joe, I took a sub, man. Like, I need 3 days. I'm like, bro, you got to go. Mind you, it's fucking February 12th, 10 o'clock at night. It's 20 below. Yeah. It's like, I've known this dude my whole life. Right. I'm going to kick him out. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, all right, dude, you got 3 days. And once I did that like, you start to
the floodgates open a little bit.
You start to lose your moral stamina.
Yeah.
And at that point, it was not a financial thing. It was just more like, dude, like you start to get a little compassion. Like, yeah, well, I've been there. You know what I mean? But once that happened, very shortly after that, like 3 months later, I sold the house. And, but then like some time went by and I felt like God wanted me involved in that one way or the other. Like I just felt that tugging on my spirit. And that's when I hooked up with Mikey and I told him, I said, yo, man, like I know that the big man wants me involved with this. Now he had been running the house in Kensington for a lot of years. And I'm like, yo, dude, like, is this something you'd be interested in if I grab another house? He's like, yeah, man, we'll talk about it. So we end up sitting down at breakfast and he's like, yo, I'm interested in helping people. I was like, all right. I was like, I'm interested in helping people and making a couple of hours while we're doing it. And he's like, all right. You know what I mean? He's like, as long as helping people comes first, I'm like 100% at this point, the roofing business has taken off. Like financially, I'm doing good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I just need this thing to kind of pay for itself and I'm cool with it. You know what I mean? So we're actually not far from here. We're like Dittman and Wingate.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So we end up getting a house. And so let me tell you how the house thing goes. First of all, there's so much God and the way he plays in my life. It's crazy. When I went and bought my wife her first car, when I got sober, I went to the auction, I wanted to get her a vehicle. And I looked this car over, like a Chevy Equinox, like a beater, you know what I mean? But to me, I'm just starting to make money at this point. I'm like, yeah, it's a nice Chevy Equinox.
Yeah.
And whenever I walk around it like 3 times at the auction, because you hear horror stories from the auction.
I've never been, but I've heard it can go one way or the other.
You heard horror stories, me too. You know what I mean? So I go to the auction, think I'm going to get this great car for this good deal. You know what I mean? And I walk around this car 3 times, and I see nothing wrong with it at all. And I put the bid in, I get the car. I literally prayed to God before I bought the car. I'm like, God, don't let me get screwed here, man. Come on, It wasn't like a foxhole prayer. It was like a genuine, like, all right, guide me, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I walked the car after I buy it, and I missed 2 things. And the first was that the car had a dent. And the second was that, like, it literally had a thing on the back said her name, Kelly. I was like, man, how about that? You know what I mean?
That's crazy.
Crazy. I go, yo, I'm looking for this new recovery house. I got my eyes on this one house around the corner. It's like Ashburner in Frankfurt. Try to put a bid in. The people want too much money, whatever. So I go to the prep house. I'm bitching about the house and shit. Dude that was in the prep with me, Kalen, comes up. He's like, yo, my grandma's house is for sale right around the corner from where you're looking. I was like, really? It's literally 200 yards from the house we wanted. He's like, yeah, I'll show it to you at their meeting if you want. I walked in, I seen the house. It's got a big lot attached to it, like 60 foot by 50 foot lot. I'm like, all right, yeah, dude, like I'll take it. You know what I mean? We end up getting the house, then we get the lot. At this point, I move up the street here in Croydon. This Polish dude built a house, brand new construction, nice, you know what I mean? And, we end up building a sober house on the lot.
No shit.
Yeah. So now it's called Turning Point Sober Living, you know what I mean? And we got the recovery house, and then we got the sober house. We got like 16 guys over there, you know what I mean? And, there's some of them are old heads, you know what I mean? But like, they're staying sober, they're doing a deal. We get a few young bucks come through now and again, you know what I mean? But it's a good spot, dude. And I'm still involved, but I'm not involved. You know what I mean? Like I go there and make the meetings, and Mikey pretty much runs the whole show. You know what I mean? And I don't know, man. Like, dude, it's been a journey, man. I've been blessed in so many ways. Like my kids are nothing like me.
Thank God.
In a good way. You know
my
what
daughter.
I mean? Like my son's gonna be 17. Like he would not even think about drinking or smoking. He's like really smart. You know what I mean? And my daughter, she's a little bit of a rebel. You know what I mean? She's 14. She'll be 15.
Is that sophomore?
Yeah, she's going into 10th.
Yeah.
And she's a little bit of a rebel. You know what I mean? Like, she's like natural at everything she does. Plays softball, hits home runs.
No shit.
Put her on the jet ski. She's doing donuts. You know what I mean? Like drives golf cart down the shore, no problem. You know what I mean? And and I got the little one. The sober. And the difference, and the reason I bring that up is like my first 2, I think they were like 5 and 6 when I got sober. Now this one is 7. She'll be 8 and has never seen me drink.
Never.
News. And I actually told her about the podcast, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna do my buddy," because she's a YouTube kid.
Oh yeah, they're all over it.
I was like, I'm gonna do my buddy's podcast, and she's like, "Really? What's the podcast about?" I was like, addiction and stuff like that. She's like, Okay, whatever makes you happy.
all sincere, like, okay, Dad.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, you really live two different lives, man. And like, that's what AA shows you right there. Part 1, part 2, whatever, act 1, act 2. Like, there's two sides of this life once you get sober.
Dude, it's been like, yo, and there's times, man, yo, I'm sure it's happened to you too. You just pull over, you're just like so grateful for this life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you know, it gave me the opportunity to really be beneficial to those around me. My whole life, I was a liability to people, you know what I mean? And like, to finally be an asset, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, my parents, we got them out of the house on Robbins Ave. They literally got a house. They live 200 yards from me.
That's awesome.
They're like really involved with my kids now. My mom comes around, jumps in the pool with them all day. You know, my dad comes around, he hangs out. Like, he ended up working with us with the roofing thing. You know what I mean? Now he's retired. You know what I mean? And, you know, we've just been blessed.
Well, you said something earlier. And if I'm being honest, like 6 years ago, I had a year and a half sober, but I always knew I was going to drink. I got engaged at a year sober. And I knew in 6 months, my wife was going to go on her bachelorette party. So I was making meetings. I was sharing at meetings, but I knew as soon as she walked out, I was on. And so this, I know it's 8 months and 3 weeks today, but it's different. Like there's no reservation. I mean, obviously I'm fully committed to one day at a time for the first time, but you said something about the willingness. Like when I went to fucking rehab, dude, I was like, I'm done, dude. Like my wife hates my guts. My daughter now knows I'm a full-blown junkie. You know what I mean? I had to tell my employer, you know, it was bad. It was bad, but like the willingness. And then I even started to pray different. And you learn that shit, dude. Old head Joe from Octus, he says he's got like 40 years sober. He's like, I still pray for the willingness to be a part of AA. And I'm like, man, I'm going to start doing that. And like, that's it. You just start doing the deal.
Well, and that's part of it though, too, right? It's like, you said it in the beginning, like, dude, you come in here, you stop drinking and drugging, your life is going to get better by default, like your external life.
Mm-hmm.
But like, how about the guy at the meeting this morning?
Yeah, that's a tough place to be.
8 years sober, suffering from alcoholism. Like, yo.
The way you put it was perfect.
Dude, just because I'm removed from drugs and alcohol for 8.5 years doesn't mean I don't suffer from alcoholism. Because let me get away from AA for a week or two, see what happens, see what I'm like then. You know what I mean? It ain't going to be good.
Yeah.
You know?
You're right. Well, you know, like, and you talked about it with your brother, like, I bring this up because my therapist is the same thing. Like you get through an experience like that, he calls it money in the bank. Not that, you know, you want to go through another similar experience, but you got through the worst thing.
It's your stand.
Absolutely. And like, that's what I'm learning now.
Even with your dad, like, yo, once you go through something like that, sober, you cannot dream up a reason
to drink.
Yeah. And I remember dude's like, he's like, no excuses to drink. He's like, but give me a good reason and I'll go with you. You know what I mean? Because, you know, these AA old timers, they got some shit.
They're the best, dude.
Like, yeah.
Dude, my dad would go to meetings. We didn't go a lot together, but he did share one time. And he's like, you know, I don't fucking understand why dudes in the AA meeting don't share about wanting to drink. What the fuck? It would bother him to no end, dude. Like that dudes would share and never talk about alcohol. Because we see all sides of it. You know what I mean?
Well, and then, you know what, dude? The thing is that like, if I'm in AA meetings, more than likely I'm praying. And if I'm praying, more than likely I'm helping people. So if I'm praying, I'm making meetings and I'm helping people, more than likely that obsession's not going to come on me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's a good point.
So that's like kind of, you know, why, you know who you want to ask people who's not drinking? Ask the dude who left the meeting a half hour early.
Yeah.
or didn't come to the meeting. Call him up. He'll tell you that he wants to drink. You know?
Yeah.
Because more than likely, most of the people, if they're going to meetings, they're praying.
That's the, like, we talked about the MBA, right?
Yeah.
So I put so much pressure on myself on what it's going to look like after I graduate. You know what I mean? Drexel has this mentor program, which is, dude, it's weird for me to meet with a fucking old man and talk about my career and go to networking events. These are tough things to do with, you know, the little time sober that I have. I started putting all this pressure on myself, like what life's going to be like after I get the MBA. And I got in a little beef with my wife last weekend. And then this happened and this happened. And I thought about drinking for the first time in 8.5 months. And it was a tough place to be because, like, you know, I haven't missed a meeting in weeks other than therapy. You know what I mean? I do the green card every morning. I pray. So I couldn't figure out why the fuck I was feeling this way. So it hit me like I'm just trying too hard with the career. I'm chasing like a motherfucker. So I just actively decided, like, all the networking, all the conversations, all the emails, all the chasing, I'm just going to stop. Let me just focus on work and school. And then when school's over, we'll pick back up. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just adding another fucking layer of bullshit in my mind. It just wasn't working out. Like, I'm still going to be 42 with the MBA. It's going to be 9 months from now. You can start the networking then. Because right now it's just too much. And I think it's a lot of it has to do with sobriety. You know, 8.5 months sober, like, it's too much. It's too fucking much, dude.
And, dude, anything good that happened kind of happened organically.
Yeah.
What I did, though, was, like AA says, I was available. So I was sober. I was reliable. I was able to show up. So when opportunities presented themselves, I was able to capitalize on them. But anything truly good that happened kind of happened organically. So now it's like, boom, took the step to go to school. Now I'm going here. Now, like, I'm going to these networking meetings, and then I got to talk to this mentor and, like, do this deal. And then it's like, what's going to come of that?
Yeah.
I can only imagine what the big man's got for you. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? You know, and this is like part of right living. Something good's coming down the pipeline. You know what I mean? Like, it's just to wait and see what happens organically. Because sometimes I'll force something that I don't truly want. You know what I mean?
And that's what my wife says. Like, are you sure you want to do everything you say you want to do? I'm like, sometimes you don't even fucking know.
Yeah, you might end up with a laptop and much rather have a tool belt.
She says that too. Do you really want to be that guy? I'm like, you know, I'm still learning. Like,
yo, and that's part of it, right? Because the worst thing is when people say I know. I remember my guy telling me, he's like, yo, when they tell you they know, get away from them.
Yeah.
They're closed-minded. They're done grown.
Well, it's funny. So I had this dude on a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about, like, perfection and recovery, right? Like, there is no perfection. There is none. Just like you're never recovered. I mean, this is a thing forever. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes you got to hear a dude say some things in a certain way for it to click. Like, yeah, you're right, dude. Like, there is no perfection. Like, and just like with recovery, like, you know, I'm never going to be recovered from drugs and alcohol. Like, I'm always going to have to be in the moment, one day at a time. The whole deal, like you said, like, it's just, it's life.
No graduation.
Nah, dude, it's for real. It's life.
No graduation ceremony.
Yeah.
Except for that big 1 year party.
Yeah, which we're not having, dude.
So I asked some guy 40 years sober. I says, all right, bro, 40 years sober. What, you know, tell me the secret. You know what I mean? And he said, don't ever miss an opportunity to keep your mouth shut and always stay right sized. And, like, to me, that I'm learning more and more about keep my mouth shut thing. Shout out to my wife.
Yeah, for real.
She tells me to shut the fuck up all the time. But staying right size, you know what I mean? Like, part of what AA does for you is it keeps you humble, you know what I mean? And you know, I think that there's two winners in this world. There's the winner who's like the first place guy and he holds the second place guy's hand up at the same time. And then there's like the first place guy. It's like, you came in second place. You know what I mean? It's like, what guy do you want to be? You know? Man, that's awesome, dude. Yeah. Joe, one thing, we'll end like this, but one thing you left out, like, you help a ton of people. I mean, I know you got the recovery houses, but outside of that, like, I know for a fact you help a ton of people. And like, you're a huge asset. And like I said, like, you were always good to me. And I appreciate you doing this. And everyone, like I said, that I know that knows you has nothing but great things to say about you. So, like, to see this person in front of me do what you've been through, like, it makes me know, for me personally, like, yeah, it's in the cards for me too. You just got to stay sober. Just like Big Kev says, you got to stay sober. Yo, thanks for having me, man. It's been good. And
yeah, no doubt. My man.
Curious to sit.
Thanks, dude.
Thanks, man.
I guess I want to end it this way.
Love you, bro.
Yeah.
We love you, Dad.
I love all of you.
We love you, daughter.
I love you too.
Wow,
that was nice. And I tell you what, let's go back.